marketers, it's always a struggle, right? You're either catching up with the consumer or you're trying to be ahead of the curve. But I don't think anybody anticipated a moment like this, which has allowed us all in some way to recreate the story of our brands. Because what has happened with this pandemic is that it has become a level playing ground. And everybody will be starting from ground zero. Now, it's very important when you're starting from ground zero. Which way do you go? How do I build the stories from ground zero, right? I think the first thing to remember is that change is all around us. The consumer has changed a lot in these past few weeks. In fact, whichever country you live in, whatever strata of society you belong to, whatever job you were in, and whatever the role you had in your personal or professional life, you have changed. And hence, it's important for brands talking to you to also ensure that they keep up with that change. So how do we deal with all of this as we go ahead into the post-pandemic world? The way I see it is that we need to be a little conscious and cognizant of a few filters. We need to keep those filters in mind in every interaction that we have with the consumer. So what are my filters? My filters are the ones of trust, of authenticity, and of prioritization. The first one, trust, needs no introduction. We live now in a world filled with fear, filled with anxiety, filled with stress. Consumers are seeking a reason to believe, a reason to trust. Can you be that? Can you fill that void for them? But can you do it in a manner that is genuine? And most importantly, while you may have already been doing multiple things to earn their trust over the years, at this point of time, in this new environment, have you evolved? Are you evolving for the new changing scenario? So whatever business you're in, whatever category you're in, wherever your brand stood, make sure you're worthy of this trust that the consumer wants to put on you. He wants to feel less anxious. So that's the first one, trust. The second one is authenticity. It's a bit of a paradox that we're seeing around us, right? We're all so isolated, we're living by ourselves. But at the same time, the world has never been so connected. We're applauding and realizing and therefore applauding all the wonderful work done by our healthcare workers, the wonderful work even done by delivery boys, the wonderful work happening by policemen. People, everyday people doing their job are being applauded for what they do. And I think that's wonderful because people are realizing it. They are valuing emotions and being far more sensitive than they have ever been. And perhaps that has also led them to being more sensitive to anything that a brand puts out there. So brands need to be very careful that they don't come off as sounding flippant or being flippant. They don't come out as being over the top. Be real, be authentic. Consumers are smart enough to realize when you're being real. The third one is the prioritization filter. When we come out of the pandemic, people are going to feel differently about certain categories. Some things would have become far more dear to them. Some things would have become not so important to them. So I think the most important one here is for brands to actually hear, right? How do I give a true listening ear to my consumers? Where am I now in their lives? How can I ensure I'm still on top? I think the only way for that to happen is for you to continue to talk relevance, be relevance, and act relevance, right? What that means is that be very, very conscious of what the consumer is going to. Navigate their new reality instead of trying to push your same old story. And hopefully, when the consumer reevaluates and relooks at his priorities, you'll still be up there. But being conscious that he is going to go through a reevaluation. I mean, a habit is formed in 21 days, they say. And we've been through now at least 2 to 3 opportunities to really build habits over the last couple of months. So let's just make sure that we're keeping up with the consumer. So those are my 3. that I think will really help any brand going forward: the trust filter, the authenticity filter, and the prioritization filter.